Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. What's up, Lex Leone? How you doing? It's been a couple of days, huh? 19 days since my last stream. I kind of like didn't stream at all since during the FTX drama. But yeah, lots to talk about. Been saving it up. Lots to talk about. Let me just tweet out the fact that the stream's up, and then we'll get the ball rolling. 1 second. It's nice to wake up to a little bit of a pop out of a trend line here that we've got going on. Nice little pop. Now, remember, we've had a lot of tests going above 17k and getting rejected. So this seems to be like a bit of a line in the sand of resistance. Before we can really establish any kind of bull trend, we need to get up on top of this and find support above that supply zone. All right, one moment. I'm just going to tweet out the stream and also Discord notification the stream as well, just so that everyone that wants to check out the stream gets a chance. One moment. Okay, everyone. That should do it. And let's see. Twitter. Where's Twitter? Here's Twitter. Okay. All right, let's zoom out to begin with. And I'm gonna just hide some of these lines so that we can see what's happening. Maybe I'll leave the 10,000 steps. So I've got a line every 10,000, every round number there, just to sort of keep track of the key levels, the key round numbers. So, all right, we'll go back to the daily. Actually, let's go weekly. Go logarithmic. And just rehash probably things that I've already covered, but I'll just do them again just for the sake of catching people up that haven't seen this yet. I'm just seeing what this line is here. We'll hide that. All right, so right now, this is our 2022 low, this blue line, and our 2019 high, this purple line here, or this pink line. So we are very close to testing that that high, that line of previous resistance as future support. So another thing, the reason I'm zoomed out here is because I'm also tracking this falling wedge here in a logarithmic sense. In the linear sense, this same falling wedge was in play, except we broke out from it. And now this FTX crash, this black swan event, if you will, caused like a forced backtest of this trend line here in the linear scale, on the linear chart. If we go back to the daily, it hasn't quite come into contact with that line, with that trend line, but nonetheless, this is like you could see it as a potential like final washout before, you know, I'm not going to call it the bottom because we need confirmation of a higher high before we can say that the bottom is in. Much like if we go back, let's go back to the 2018 bear market. Yeah, we had a series of macro lower highs, lower high, lower high. I mean, this was a crazy wick, bit of a bull trap, that wick, but nonetheless, no, lower high, and then we fell off a cliff. There was a catalyst that caused this fall here, much like how we've had this FTX black swan event that's just totally taken us down a few notches there. Now, the interesting thing, yeah, like, so to call in the bottom, I've got a blue line here for where the bottom was in that 2018 cycle. We started off a new year positively because we got our first, you know, higher low after that structure, after that break-in structure. So, and then it sort of happened under the radar for quite a while. And then we had this really, really nice recovery candle out of the blue that just popped up and got the ball rolling again to like recover all of this ground that was lost. So if I just scroll across here, you can see it triggered a really nice bull run relief rally. You know, you could call that a relief rally in the overall bear market. So if you want to zoom out even further, like onto the weekly, you could class this whole price action here, like, so all of this zone after the all-time high, all of that was bear market. So even this really nice bull run, like, or bull rally, bull trend, is still part of an overall bear market. So this bear market lasted, like, let's count it out, like 2.5 years basically. The break of the previous all-time high really signaled that that part of the cycle was over and that we were gunning for new highs. So let me go back here. So yeah, you could get a lot of people thinking that we're not, you know, we're nowhere near any kind of bull market until we break back above 69,000, you know, and that might not happen for a couple of years yet. Or, you know, I guess we just have to see what kind of catalysts we get going into the following year. So the next the next Bitcoin halving is happening early 2024. So around, I think, March of 2024. So yeah, not terribly far away. It's a little bit over a year's time, but yeah, the beauty of that is there's plenty of time to accumulate if you're taking more of an investment approach toward crypto, toward Bitcoin. But yeah, I think in the coming months there's going to be a lot of price action to trade. That's for sure. As we, you know, potentially come up and recover this downtrend here, this violent move in the wake of the whole FTX drama. So I know that there's a lot of negativity and FUD out there surrounding the FTX fallout and the so-called contagion that it's creating, as other sort of exchanges and industry players are, you know, basically getting a sobering wake-up call as they were propped up by FTX. So we'll see. Another factor is a lot of crypto has been leaving centralized exchanges. So, you know, including Binance. So Binance being the biggest of the central exchanges. So to me, that spells a lot less price action, a lot less people trading actively, or perhaps not people, but liquidity is now sitting in cold storage. So it's coming off because people currently don't trust central exchanges because of the whole FTX thing. So when you see inflows come back in, that may be a sign that people are coming back in to trade again, and get things rolling. But yeah, the fact that if we get more crypto coming off exchanges, that could cause something called a supply shock. So in order to hold the price down, you need to hold the coin and put up basically a sell wall, so a supply wall, to suppress the price. So if all of that crypto that's used to suppress price has come off the exchange now and gone into cold storage, there's nothing left really. Well, there's less crypto left to hold the price down. So as soon as demand comes back in, either they're going to have to bring that Bitcoin back in to the exchange to be able to further suppress the price, or it's going to cause something, what's known as a supply shock, where supply runs out and the demand basically just pushes through the books. So the order books just get demolished and price goes up. So we saw a classic example of that globally with the COVID crisis, right? The whole that whole thing. So a lot of supply chains were affected by that, and demand was still there for goods and services, even though a lot of the world was locked down, and yeah, that caused a huge supply shock. So prices ran up and we're still feeling the effect of that, the massive inflation that we've just seen a peak of I think it went up as high as 9.2%. Let me just have a look here. So when a supply shock hits, obviously goods and service providers need to increase price to try and cool the demand, or at least meet the demand. So that's why things, a good example of that is video cards. So like GPUs and NVIDIA, or even other computer components during 2020, they went through the roof. That's like double in price, almost. At least in Australia, that's what I saw. I'm sure it happened in other countries as well. But there was a shortage of a lot of computer components, especially for the fact that people were working from home and needing to buy a computer to do that because of the whole lockdown situation. Anyway, let me go open the interest rate chart. So this is the year-over-year interest rate in the United States. So the peak here being at, let me just see what that was. So it's coming up as a 9.1%. And the last couple of results with interest rates have shown that there has been a decline in the not interest rates. What am I saying? The inflation rate. So the inflation has shown that it has been pulling back down, so cooling a bit. If you can see in previous decades, so this was the inflation run of like in the middle of the 70s. It found a top and then corrected sharp. So the recovery off that was, basically straight up and straight down. Similar with this one, except there was this little bump along the way. But the point I'm making here is that when you get that sort of sharp top there, the interest rate doesn't seem to do this kind of thing. The inflation. It doesn't seem to consolidate and then move higher. It seems to just do this, like a big blow-off top situation. And so that kind of looks what this might represent. I'm just trying to find if there's any examples in the past. So this is where, yeah, this high interest here, this is back in during the Depression, I suppose, or leading up to the Depression. Inflation like sort of stayed high for quite some time there. So I'm not an economic expert, but I'm not sure what caused that. But at least in more modern times, there seems to be a sharp decline after we hit that high. But yeah, in the previous inflation periods, like the 70s was, or what's this? This is the 40s. So there's a couple of really brutal spikes up. The 70s was not great in the mid and late 70s. But then things got under control throughout the 90s, the 80s and 90s, and then the last 20 years has been interesting to see it hovering around 2% inflation, which is basically what they target, the Federal Reserve. Now, okay, let's tie this back to crypto. So what that means is with crypto and just markets in general, so the legacy markets like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, when this comes back down, it means the Fed may basically back off hiking the interest rates as they, as the inflation cools back down. Now there was a comment by one of the FOMC members recently that said they've got no plans to change their attack, their interest rate, their hawkish nature of the interest rate at the moment, right? Their hawkish approach, which means, keeping the interest rates high to try and curb inflation, right? To try and counter it or deal with it. So as this comes down, those interest rates may get lowered in the coming, several months, right? So if we want to see this come back down so that the markets can basically recover, and we've seen many times in the past 6 months, when there's positive news about inflation, like in the last couple of times, it has a positive effect on the NASDAQ and the S&P, right? So crypto is no different to that. Like it seems to follow those legacy markets. The sentiment for those markets tends to flow across to cryptocurrency. So there's no doubt a lot of people are seeing this current time globally as a recession, right? There's been a lot of crazy things happening, like the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, the leadership in the UK. I think they had a prime minister come in for a month, and that shook a lot of things up. I think I can't remember exactly, but there was something to do with tax, and that a lot of people did not like the changes that were being proposed. So that prime minister is now has now stepped down, and we saw the recovery in the pound against the dollar after that sharp decline. Once all those policies were sort of suggested, it didn't have a good effect for the pound, that's for sure. But anyway, I guess we're just waiting for the narrative to settle down, because it just seems like we've had bad news after bad news. Now, this drop here from 40 down to 30, I believe that was the lunar collapse, right? And then we had the I think that may have been the Celsius drop, or it could be the other way around. Either way, these $10,000 drops that we've experienced, I think that flushed the last bit of like serious money out of the market, the crypto market. The drop in this space here, so actually probably more like from here to here. So this drop here, I think that's most of the smart money leaving as they realize that this second wave here was extremely weak compared to this first wave. Even though the price went higher, there was massive bearish divergence, and there was huge signs that the bull market was losing energy. This second rally here was actually quite surprising. I wasn't expecting to see that because, every single bull market Bitcoin has been a blow off top. So basically, which means, one spike up and then a huge correction after it. So we had this like double top market, or this Wyckoff distribution event. So yeah, where we're at now is like, we're just trying to see where the dust settles after this whole FTX situation. And yeah, we're getting squeezed really heavy, and that's something I've been sort of tracking. Let me delete these brush strokes here, and we'll get those trend lines back. So I've just been, following some of this structure here with trend lines, and it seems to be, even without the trend lines, you can see that it looks like some kind of triangle, symmetrical triangle situation going on. And I've kind of shown that in the thicker white lines here. I'll make them a little thicker just so they stand out against the others. So that is the main pennant formation that I'm looking at. The small, basically in the last half an hour, we've popped out of that, surprisingly, because the textbook situation is this is a bear pennant. You come in severely from a drop, like a bearish move, you consolidate sideways, and then the expected move after that would be further breakdown out of that shape. But there is the chance that we could break back up through this and recover this massive move down here. Bitcoin does like to do those kind of like Bart Simpson formations, right? Where you get a drop, a consolidation, and then snap back up to surprise everyone. But yeah, it would take a hell of a lot of money to get us back up above 20,000, let alone 21,000. So for now, like, at least the way I'm playing it, I'm building up like quite a long swing position right now. So I'm kind of looking further into the future about the recovery of this huge bear market that we're in the midst of. So to me, I feel like there's a lot more upside potential. Not saying that it's going to happen tomorrow or today or anytime soon, but I see way more upside potential than further decline, going to sub $1,000 Bitcoin or anything like that. So yeah, I may be buying at a premium through, and I have bought at a premium through these ranges here. I didn't, just like many of us, we didn't see this whole FTX collapse happening. So that, I try to see the bright side here that Bitcoin has gone on a further discount, and that you can further build that position even bigger and even better for the coming bull trend, whenever that may be. So let's look at what's happening right now. Go back to like the 15-minute chart here. So yeah, sharp spike, popping out of that resistance line there. Gonna see if it can establish support and continue to rally here and at least come up to test 17,000. I've been hanging out a lot in B's Discord, so B Crypto. I'm sure you guys are all aware of B's channel. It's in the description of this stream, actually, if you want to check out his stream as well. He's got a Discord community. A lot of them came across from the channel that a lot of people don't name in his circle, but yeah. That's where a lot of people, all of the OGs are hanging out. So check out B Crypto. He's got a stream as well. So from here, we've got a break of this trend, and I'm looking at another potential retest of 17K, right? We've got these highs popping above 17. Now, when we approached it the last time, we broke out of this trend line here, right? We came out, back tested, and then rallied up. So now when it was approaching 17, I was thinking, yeah, this feels like it's just another test that's going to be rejected of 17,000. And you know, I kind of wish that I came on stream and said that. Like, I wish I opened a stream up, because that would have been awesome to show that, you know, that was basically a supply zone that causing huge rejection and, you know, an excellent short opportunity, which I believe resulted in 2.6%. So if you're playing with leverage, that's a decent move. But yeah, damn, that really shows how how flat the volatility is right now. You know, this, which seemingly is a dramatic move, is only basically not much more than 2.5%, right? So I guess we have to zoom out to get a bit of perspective on how flat things have been for Bitcoin in the past, you know, however many months you want to call it, like the last 2 months. Like this was painful. This was like just chopping sideways, even this like part of the structure as well. But yeah, this really got the ball rolling. A lot of people probably traded the short there off the collapse, but it definitely got the altcoins moving as well. Anyway, yeah, so at the moment, I would be looking for a potential short position. If we come up here, even this trend line here looks interesting. So this dark gray line here, or this really faint gray line here, we could come up here and get rejected by that, because this is still part of a wedge structure. Something like this, where it tags that and then rallies back down. So I would watch that zone there, and also 17,000 as points of rejection for a possible short entry. Because believe it or not, I do see like the likelihood, we've still got a strong likelihood to rally back down, or to correct back down and at least retest this low here. If not, come and test the 2019 high of $14,000, so down here. Yeah, huge potential for that, because when you zoom out, like the big picture, we are in a massive downtrend. Like the trend is very strong down still from the all-time high. It was starting to look very optimistic before the whole FTX collapse, because we started getting like macro higher lows. I'll show you what I mean by that. Like, so I might have to go to the daily chart to really display it properly, but yeah, so this was our June low, this dashed blue line that I have here. And then we pulled in these other lows, and we just couldn't seem to find a lower price. And it was actually creating a lot of optimism. We broke out of this trend line here, back tested it, and then started rallying up. So that was starting to look like the potential floor to the market or to Bitcoin, right? This was all prior to the FTX thing, right? So it was looking good. It was a slight, sign that things were potentially improving. And then, yeah, the FTX thing changed all that, unfortunately, but and it's delayed everything by God knows how long that's gonna take to recover. But yeah, I think there's, as long as the market is moving, there's money to be made, right? Like if you're a trader, you just don't want any flat periods, like ranging markets like we're in at the moment. This is no good for trading. Big dramatic drops are good for trading. There's also like huge, like, nice bull rallies as well, right? So you want the volatility there. You just don't want it to go flat. That's the only thing. And lo and behold, we're smack bang in the middle of the weekend. So historically, that produces pretty low volume. If we go back out in the daily, you'll see that. You can even see them, like without even looking at what days they are, but you can see that the two candles wedged between higher volume, they're basically the weekends. Like, let's have a look. So this was the 8th and the 9th of October, 8th and 9th. I bet you that was a weekend. Let's see. Yep, 8th and 9th of October. That was a weekend. 5 days, weekdays, weekend. See? Dip in activity. This was a weekend, I think. Yep. So the 12th and 13th of November. Like a lot less volume. And then, today and tomorrow's candle, which starts in less than an hour. So the Sunday candle coming in soon is, you can pretty much predict that that's going to be also a low volume candle as well. So we won't see things pick up and actually move until Monday and Tuesday, I think, which is typical, right? It's typical. All right. Well, today's looking interesting, actually. For a Sunday, this move out of this flat ranging market is optimistic, I think, at least for now. So, maybe there's some trades to be had. But yeah, you can see in the watch list here, everything's very flat and boring. There's nothing really happening. I'm going to check out a bit of a longer list to see more altcoins and see if there's anything actually moving. So Sia Coin is up 11%. XNL, Chronicle, Telcoin, ONG. Yeah, there's a few things moving here. Chili's, I know that was rallying really strong yesterday and the day before. So that's been doing well. Actually, all week. The last couple of weeks, really. So there's the FTX collapse right there. And it's just had a really good time after that. It's been the one to ride, I think. And it seems to have found, or is trying to establish support here. Yeah. All right, I'm going to jump back onto Bitcoin and see if there's any kind of Fibonacci levels to look at. And so as far as resistance goes, like let's say we're trying to get back to this point, right? So we made a high here of 18,200 roughly. 18,199 to be exact on this chart. And if we draw it up from our low, that'll give us our points of resistance to look at as we're recovering, trying to get back and retrace to that high. So you can see there was a spike, like a test of the 382 Fibonacci level. There was a couple of pushes here, trying to hit the 236, but got rejected. So rejection. Let me just hide some of these lines. And let's see, now the 0.5 fib level, you could say that's another level that we should be watching as resistance. And you can see that lines up. That actually coincides with testing the top of this trend line here, this gray trend line. If we come up and find resistance, that's like, you know, confluence of that. So if we manage to break through that, obviously there's the 17,000 round number resistance to break through. But then we've got two other Fibonacci levels that we have to get on top of as well before coming back up to test anywhere near this high here. So I think that would be the number to beat if we're looking for a bullish, like any kind of bullish activity or bull run. So that's kind of the line in the sand. If we get suppressed beyond that, like into the next coming like days or weeks, then yeah, it's either gonna range or drop. But yeah, that's kind of the line in the sand. These 2 points, these are our sort of like levels that we're dealing with right now. Everything in between is just noise until we break out of that rectangle. And that is a ranging market in essence. So when you do get that structure break, by the way, let me draw a box. So it's like roughly from here to here. When we get a break out of that rectangle, that's when you know things are going to start moving again. And you can see examples of them back here in this part. So there was quite a rectangle here, right? Things were looking optimistic. We broke up the top, but then I think this was the weekend when we started to slide back below 21, and then the FTX drama really got the ball rolling down. But yeah, that's kind of what you do, is you identify these areas, these ranging areas with a series of highs and lows that come into the supply side and then the demand side. So perfect for grid bot trading if you're into that. But yeah, you can see them all over the place. Like there's another one here, bit more higher volatility, but yeah, this whole structure here is part of a range, I suppose you could say. There's another one over here, smaller one. But these happen on all time frames, like not just the higher ones. Like you can even find them on the 1 minute if you want to. Let's see. So this structure here, we had highs hitting, and then the lows, which were showing an incline, which is positive, right? So if you kind of identify a range, here's another range here, something like that. But when you get the break in structure, the break of the support or the resistance side of the range, then things are going to start moving. That's the sort of approach that you take to these ranges. But yeah, we've certainly popped out the top. And then, yeah, if you really zoom in, if you really dial in on this 1 minute chart, if you're scalping, if you're day trading, you're looking for these kind of bullish continuation patterns as things, as price consolidates during a rally. So this is somewhat of a bull flag here, I would say, if not a bull pennant. It depends how you want to draw it, but either way, they produce the same result moving up. This is a bit more of a falling wedge here. I know people like to say that patterns don't matter on the 1 minute chart, like they're not going to do anything, but I beg to differ. I think they still have an effect, and they are profitable if you trade with them. Now this isn't looking great on the at least on the small time frame, right? Because there's a bit of a rising wedge right here. You can see, which is we all know that's a bearish kind of chart pattern. Rising wedge right there. And we've dropped out the bottom. And then, I guess what you want to see is support after that, but it's kind of looking like a head and shoulders. We're coming up, we've made, say, left shoulder here, like to this high. So I'll redraw that in a second. So left shoulder here, and then the head, and then this could be the right shoulder forming now. But yeah, you can see we had a high here, which could produce support for this drop here. So I'm going to delete these lines, and then we'll just follow that and see what happens. Let's see if that works. So we're just focusing on that high. We got rejected by it here as well. We could very well break down through it. It's only the 1 minute chart, remember. But, yeah, this is basically classic market structure. You don't need any oscillators, you just need a drawing tool. And you need to know how to identify an uptrend and a downtrend, basically. Let me read through some of these comments here. Sorry, I've sort of I've been hyper-focused on the charts. Loving the love in the chat. 34 people, damn. Welcome, guys. What do I think about Solana? Good question. Let me have a look at Solana. So apparently, Solana was propped up by FTX quite dramatically. They had a huge holding of Solana, and they were one of the big backers of Solana as well. So yeah, to see Solana had already corrected heavily during this bear market, so I think it was down at least 80%. Yeah, almost 90% down on that June low, right? I'm pretty much going to call that 90%. And then we had the FTX thing, and how much more blood can you bleed out of it when it's already fallen 90%? But yeah, now it's looking more like a 95% down off all-time high. Fundamentally, though, the project hasn't changed, right? I don't think the protocol is broken. I'm not a cryptographer. I don't know exactly, the ins and outs of how it works perfectly, but I understand it. That it's a layer 2 solution to Ethereum. It's fast, and people have been building on it. It has its own NFT space, so yeah, I think there's still a future for Solana, as it's not entirely an FTX project. It's just they had a big stake in it, and it's caused a lot of downtrend. So the thing to look into would be go and do a bit of research on what the team behind Solana has in store. Like, are they planning to, fix the fact that it can get hijacked? Like, not so much hijacked, but it's kind of like a DDoS attack, if you understand what that is. Like, it gets a lot of transaction traffic that grinds it to a halt. So the transaction speeds go right down to almost no speed at all, right? Because there's too much traffic, too much congestion in the network to be able to handle any kind of transaction. But once they, I have no idea the solution to that, but once they figure that out, I'm sure they're working on it. you know, I think Solana's still got a place in the top 20 at least. So I'm just gonna check where it is now, actually, while I mention it. I mean, I think it got up as high as like the top 3 maybe. There used to be a way to look at this in a historical view, so you could see how it looked, you know, say in December last year, to see where things were sitting. But yeah, it's dropped back to 15th now. I'm not sure what this is. This is a bit of an anomaly, to put it in Jolt's terms. Oh wait, that's just the... This title's following me down the screen for some reason. Bit of a bug. Alright. Yeah, Solana, $4.6 billion. I think Doge is way above that, 11.2 billion. So it's had a huge fall from grace. But that could produce, I mean, that kind of signals to me like big potential if this thing is to recover, even if it even just recovers halfway. Like that's going to be interesting. I kind of fear that it might suffer a similar fate to Litecoin. Litecoin had its day back in 2017, 2018, I think. And it, let me go to Litecoin just quickly. Go all. Yeah, it had a really nice rally, with Bitcoin in late 2017. And if I just turn the log chart on, it did make a new all-time high last year, but it wasn't very dramatically much higher. Like a lot of the other alts, ripped their previous all-time high, especially Dogecoin. Dogecoin had an amazing year last year. But I'm kind of wondering, will Solana suffer that similar kind of fate where the next high isn't as impressive as the previous high, like poor old Litecoin? That's not to say Litecoin isn't profitable. I think it's still going to rally in the next bull run, or next bull market. Yeah, so that's Solana. Anyway, I think we're not that far. We're not terribly far off the We're not terribly far off the daily close. Oh, look at that. Okay, now that we're still correcting out of this rising wedge here. Maybe we're looking at a back test of this trend line here. Maybe we find support here, as we rally back down, and then maybe bounce off it as a sort of like a break hook, and then go once we've established support. But we are down on the 1 minute chart. Anything can really happen down here. We'll see if this low can be held, or at least pull in a higher low. It seems to be teasing that right now. We'll see. But yeah, it does kind of look like a Head and Shoulders. No doubt. The neckline's kind of ugly. It's like a very dramatic angle, steep angle neckline, something like this. Yeah, maybe something more like that. So you could say it's already broken the neckline, and oh, check that out. It's kind of come up to back test it to see if it's gonna invalidate the Head and Shoulders. But so far the Head and Shoulders is valid, and it is falling. A measure for the drop, you take it from the top of the head down to the neckline like that, and then you take it to the breakout point. You can see it's targeting down here, which is, interestingly enough, a retest of this trend line. Now that trend line is produced by I have to zoom out a bit. 1 second. That trend line is produced by these pivots. So 1, you could call that a 2, 3, and then all of this action here 4. Yeah, so that trend line is significant enough. Like if you zoom out, that's got a lot of structure off it. A lot of action is coming off that line, which is, you know, I think it deserves to stay there on the chart. I'm not going to delete it just yet, but we'll see if this drop plays out. I'm going to get the oscillators back up because that can give you a bit of confluence to your overall like sentiment or feeling of the direction. So we're actually getting buy signals on the 1 minute chart on the cipher indicator. We had a soft buy signal here, which resulted in a nice little rally up. So yeah, profitable. We're getting another buy signal here. So let's follow that. Let's do a hypothetical buy based off this signal here. Not to mention the Doge Pack indicator. The RSI has cooled off. We haven't come below the 30, but yeah, it doesn't have to. There's no rule that says that it has to come below 30 before rallying up again. So hypothetically, let's just say we got in here. I'm going to draw a green line just to represent that, and we'll see how it plays out. Look at that. We're sort of starting to get some movement. Testing that trend line again. It's pretty amazing how trend lines work. It's like the rest of the market seems to be looking at the same line, the same structure. Let me get an actual ray on there. So if we use that point and say this point as the pivot, make it a bit thinner just so you can see it better, or more precise rather. And yeah, like check that out. We're getting resistance at that line. So if you really zoom in, you see resistance here, another point of resistance here with this wick. And yeah, it's proving to be difficult to try and break up even with a buy signal. There is soft bullish divergence here as well. We're getting sort of like similar lows, but yeah, it's not strong whatsoever, that divergence. But it is recorded there nonetheless. Anyway, we'll just see what happens. We'll just see what it plays out. Yeah, I guess this is kind of highlighting the danger of trading on the small time frames. So, and I was watching a video last night on basically like technical analysis strategies, and there's a thing called a dirty retest. So in the other group, a guy called Trago linked a series of videos on like trading market structure, which awesome videos, by the way. And there is a thing called a dirty retest of a trend line. So I'll try and find an example of that. Let me get rid of these boxes as well. Might have to go to a higher time frame to get a good example. 1 second. All right. So this $17,000 trend, this line, right? This horizontal $17,000 line. These are clean tests and rejections at 17, right? This could be considered a dirty test. This is dirty because it's still getting rejected by that zone, but they're basically liquidity grabs. So price will come through to fake people out, like basically, or fake people in. It's a bull trap, right? It's coming above to get people optimistic and take out long positions. So those people, they're not wrong, you know. breakout trades are profitable, but you just got to know when to ignore the false signals. And there is a way, yeah, swing failure pattern, exactly. So there is a way to identify when something is false. I'm going to see if we can find the evidence of why those moves were false above 17,000. All right, so here's 17,000. Let me just make it extremely thick so that we can track it. Maybe I'll make it a different color, like yellow, just so we can really see what's happening. All right, I'm gonna hide the oscillators and just turn volume on right now. And we might need a higher time frame, maybe the 4 hour, because we want to get an overall display of volume. Okay, here we go. This is good. All right, so a true committed move up will show increases in volume consecutively. So let's say we're rallying. This is the first volume bar. This is the second volume bar, and it needs to be higher, right? It needs to prove that it's actually increasing in volume. And that's how you know a move it has some substance behind it, right? So that's considered, you know, a good move. That's a committed. That's true. That's real. You can back it a bit. You can feel a bit more confident behind a move like that. However, if you get the opposite, if price is moving up and you're getting this, like maybe the initial bar was a lot of volume, but then you get a drop off. That's signals, or that's evidence that that move has no substance behind it and it's a false move, which is exactly what happened here. Look, we got a nice solid green volume bar here after this candle here, but the following candle was, not only was it a bearish red candle, but it was a lot less. It was weaker. So that was a signal that, hey, you know, don't expect further moves up because we've gotten 3 candles in a row that are small compared to that initial move up, that initial push. So that's how volume can help. And then, yeah, weekends are just really ugly to trade, to be honest. Like, weekend volume is... it's hard to get any kind of commitment beyond, you know, these spikes. You can see that here. Like, yeah, we had a nice healthy spike up, right, to 17,000, but there was no follow through. It just diminished. Same with this. Like, we moved up, yes, but it diminished again. So, you know, causing that chop. So, but yeah, like, I don't know, like with Bitcoin, it's these random spikes come out of nowhere. Like, I think they are essentially liquidity grabs or swing failure patterns, bull traps, if you will. But yeah, these are the signs that, yeah, a move doesn't have any commitment behind it. Whereas, check out this. Wait, let me go forward a step. Okay, first red candle here, yeah, that came down. Delete these drawings as well, so it's clearer. Okay, red candle here. Volume establishing itself. Second one, bigger, incline. Third one, like this, I mean, you kind of have to take an average. I know that it kind of did drop off, but there was commitment there. And the overall like direction produced this move down, which was actually, there's a lot of commitment behind that move. Especially, look at this one. Drop in price, right? Ramp up in volume. So now let's back test this analysis, like this way of analyzing. we'll go on the daily because like you know the daily's quite good for spotting true trend directly, you know, situations. So go back to like say the bull market to see, because we know that that was a committed market with a lot of positive moves in volume, right? Look at these candles, like stair-stepping green candles, increasing volume, increasing volume. Let me get a little line tool going on here, an arrow. Okay, so we'll make it green because that's definitely not the right color. All right, there's stair steps in volume, steps in volume, up, increasing volume, yeah. Good signs of, and not only that, but have you noticed, if I was to draw like a trend line, let's get all that out of the way. Check out the peaks in those rips. They're getting louder each time. So that's another signal in itself, right? Like the average direction of that volume is increasing, and then, you know, even up to this one here, like these two spikes, that's volume turning up. Those highs are getting, like those volume spikes are higher and higher and higher. And then, yeah, we started falling. So what the hell was that? You know, volume started turning down on average. But then, you know, it picked up again, fell again. So I'll zoom out and see like how this relates to the to the candles, to the price. Then it diminished. And we'll see if it's confluent with price. 1 second. Might have to zoom out a lot and get those corresponding lines. Okay, here we go. All right, so yeah, this increase in volume, it peaks here and then drops off, which is kind of like the drop here. But it's weird, we had volume falling through this period, however, price was climbing. So that's bearish divergence in a way. You know, volume falling while price is climbing, right? Volume came down, and at those two positions, volume had decreased, however, price increased. So we had a low there and then a high here. So that's bearish divergence. What did that result in? A massive push down, flush down to 30,000 off 65 or whatever it was, 64. But then, yeah, so volume picked up here because of the drop. So that was basically bear volume, like this part. Selling volume. And then yet another decline in volume through this consolidation. So volume was diminishing as price was falling. So that was, I guess, confluent. But can you see how quiet the volume was compared to this area? Let me delete these. Check out how quiet things got in that push to $69,000 in volume. It was so weird. So this was natural. Like, I mean, you could even like trace it up to here, I guess. But it's mainly the initial ramp from 2020 into the early 2021 of volume going up. But yeah, volume was turned down. Like all the way through here even. It was something more like that if you were to take an average, right? Make that red. And we got this push. That was a big like bearish divergence signal. And if you look at the RSI on, say, the weekly, we had a huge like corresponding strength push. So relative strength, it came up, But then the second push was much weaker, and that's reflected in the RSI here. So the peaks were lower, however, peaks were higher in price. So that's bearish divergence, signaling the start of the the correction. So what have we got going on now? Like, is there any kind of bullish divergence? And there was. This is the weekly chart, and there was, look at the cipher indicator here. There was bullish divergence, 2 massive buy signals here. And if we just turn off that, I'll turn off the volume as well. But check it out, like that was signaling like, a low in this area, right? With a huge dip on RSI. And then this low here was, I guess, equal if not lower in price compared to that low there, that point. And that's what it's saying, is suggesting is the bullish divergence. So that was to be like a move into recovery, at least a retest of the 25, I would say. But yeah, then we had the black swan thing, and that completely threw all that out the window. So you can see, like, fundamental news events have an effect that is stronger than anything technical, I think, What was that line that I just deleted? That was 17,000. Make that, go back to default with that. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at with volume is like, if you get a spike up, you want to see commitment to that move with preceding larger and larger volume candles. But look, this next candle has been quite a lot smaller. I mean, it's still got 17 minutes left in this hour, but that is like half the strength, or less than half the strength of that first candle. So yeah, that's not commitment to a move up. So I wouldn't be getting excited about that punch out. It was kind of like a fake out, I think. So until you start getting candles growing in size, like volume, sorry, I'll say bars. So until you get volume bars growing in size, like up a ramp, a move is basically false or weak. So that move, it's not looking great still. Yeah, it's just, this whole area, it's just choppy and ugly. There's no real money behind that. All right, let's see if, let's go back to the smaller time frame here. Can you see where we're sort of back testing that trend line actually? Let's see if it's going to provide support. So far, so good, but don't count on it. Just going by. So yeah, this entry off that 1 minute chart, not the best. It didn't work out. It's like, it's still telling us to buy. Look, see, dot, dot, dot. Even with slight bullish divergence, it's, yeah, we still got that drop. So perhaps that tells you the 1 minute chart for the cipher indicator is not the best. Maybe look to something higher, like a 5 minute. See, 5 minute hasn't even really produced that swing down yet. Yeah, oscillators on the 1 minute aren't terribly good at telling you where things are headed. You want to look at higher time frames with oscillators because they have the higher influence. Yeah, that's it. Great A music. 4 hour, 1 hour daily. They're going to give you a bit more. See how neutral we are on RSI right now on the 4 hour chart. Look at that. We are sideways. We are just sitting flat at 50 basically on RSI. the cipher indicator is also showing a huge squeeze. Like these momentum waves are just getting smaller and smaller. There's just no momentum right now. Volume diminishing. RSI flat as a tack. Momentum flat. Squeezing. Yep, that's it. It's typical of the weekend, right? Saturday, Sunday. It's almost pointless trading on a Saturday, Sunday, I think. Wait for Monday, Tuesday to roll around, and then hopefully things pick up. Next week's going to be interesting. So that Genesis, by the way, if you know that the Winklevoss twins own that crypto platform called Gemini, right? There's the liquidity arm of that is called Genesis, and it's basically like a crypto liquidity provider, I believe. I don't know the terminology, but anyway, they're basically in a lot of shit right now. They're facing trouble. They're asking for a loan of $1 billion to be bailed out of their situation. Otherwise, they're going to collapse. And they said they need it by Monday, so that's tomorrow. I'm not sure what time is it right now in the US. It's okay, so it's 6:46 p.m. Saturday. Yep. So basically, Monday morning, they need that money by Monday morning. Otherwise, we could see another severe hit to the crypto market as a whole, really. Let me go to the total market cap. There it is, total. Yeah, so there's the FTX hit. I mean, we're back on the floor, basically. We were starting to look good. We were getting higher lows, you know, but now we're right back to square one again. A little bit frustrating, but that's okay. We've got to deal with it. It's reality. Black swan events happen. Things that are unforeseen or unforeseeable. Now, the scary thing is, like, you can see that this is like showing like a bear pennant, right? A bearish triangle. We dramatically came down into it off a downtrend, and then we've sort of consolidated into this triangle formation. However, this move down was not natural. This was caused by a black swan thing, right? This wasn't a market structure setup that caused us to fall like that. So it'd be interesting to see if a pennant that is formed after an unnatural move down, or say a non-technical, I'm not going to say natural because it was a natural reaction to the market when something like that happens, right? But this wasn't a technical move down. There was nothing to suggest, at least from what I can see, that this was technical. Like, maybe rising wedge, perhaps. Even that's a bit of a stretch. It's a bit ugly. Oh, no. Yeah, rising wedge. But even that, like, if you take, like, the length of the wedge there as the, like, you know, the breakout length, and you swing it like yeah, it's gone much deeper than that. But anyway, I can't remember the point I was getting at. Oh yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if a pennant formed after a non-technical move down, this is a fundamental move down, this is a news event move down. If a consolidation after that actually plays out textbook, like, is that going to play out as expected by the textbooks, right? Or let's compare it. When was the last time crypto had a black swan crash, like a significant one? It makes me think of, well, even this one. This was the Celsius drop. What did we get off this? This was an ascending triangle. We actually broke down initially out of it. It was like a dirty retest of that support right there. It failed. Like, it was basically a bear trap, I guess you could say, because eventually we broke out the top, and then yeah, we got we came down. It's quite messy, really. Yeah, that section of the chart's a bit hard to read, I think. It's hard to get like a clean, obvious shape of it. But yeah, there's no doubt that was definitely a line of resistance there off that high. Very clean retest, like tests of it. The bottom side, we had a pivot here. We had support, and then we lost that support, but then regained it and back tested it, and it held, right? And then we rallied up. Yeah, interesting structure, but overall we did get a bullish move. Now this is crypto total, remember, it's not Bitcoin. This looks very similar to Bitcoin though. All right, let's go back to the COVID-19 black swan drop that happened over here. So if you relate that to FTX right now, what are we doing with FTX? The FTX drop, right? Where we're in a triangle similar to this. Check it out. Does this give you a little bit of optimism? That's technically that is a bear pennant, right? We've fallen into it. We've consolidated into a squeeze. But this thing broke up and recovered. This thing recovered. Mind you, it's a totally different environment. Like, this is the, basically the shock of the COVID outbreak. Everyone freaked out and sold everything. But yeah, it was a black swan event that produced a bear pennant, which we broke up from and recovered. And then, we all know what happened after that. Massive bull run. Yeah, interesting, huh? Anyway, that's pretty much, I'm just rambling now. I'm just looking for things to talk about. Rising wedge. We bring back, so we're on total market cap here. Let me go back to the Bitcoin chart. Yeah, that's it. All right. Let's screw back down to the 5-minute. Interesting reaction off that trend line. What are my thoughts on Solana? And moving Pangea. If I have my crypto sitting in Gemini, not Gemini Earn, should I move it out? Look, I don't know, dude. I don't want to say yes, move it out, and then you miss out on, optimistic, like a good move afterwards. Or yeah, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I'm not an expert with these exchange collapses, I suppose. I guess what everyone else has been doing is like hiding, like, running for cover because they're not sure. Just like I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the coming weeks. But yeah, a lot of people have run to cold storage or, hard wallets. The assurance that you're in control of what's happening with your crypto. But yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that when all the dust settles and things calm down, people will come back onto these central exchanges for trading. Like, we've seen these before, these centralized exchanges having issues. Like, there was the Mt. Gox thing. There was a Bitfinex crash as well. BitMEX, I think. And yeah, look what happened. I mean, we got an all-time high of $69,000 on Bitcoin. So it's not the end of the world, basically, when a central exchange goes down. I mean, it sucks for the people that were on those platforms and lost money, but yeah, it doesn't spell the end to cryptocurrency as an industry. I mean, it sucks for the exchanges, but it's not a fundamental attack on these projects, these crypto projects and coins. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'm just going to watch the chart, really. Got 5 minutes until the daily close, so not long. So Saturday, the Saturday candle. Let me hide all these lines in the volume bars. Go on the daily and see what the Saturday did. Look at that doji. 4 minutes left on the doji. And Saturday was flat as a tack. No activity. Thanks for tuning in anyway, guys. Thanks for tuning in and hitting the like button. I see that there's more likes than viewers right now. That's good. That's a good thing. So appreciate that. Helps the channel. I think what do we get up to? Like a peak of 34 people? That's cool. That's awesome. I know a lot of you are like the OGs. You guys are loyal to the channel, so I appreciate the support. 5 minute chart. Yeah, look at that. Retest of that trend line. Hasn't really taken us anywhere, has it? This little bounce. This FOMO entry isn't looking so great. Lucky I didn't put any money behind that, right? What are my thoughts on Sol? I think Sol has potential long term. Like, the fact that it's getting driven into the ground is a good thing because it produces cheap Solana, doesn't it? So if you think Solana has any kind of future, these prices may be like a once in a lifetime. Yeah, it just depends. It depends if you believe in it fundamentally or not. A lot of people hate Solana. I understand. But yeah, it's corrected over 90%, which is massive. That's a big correction off the all-time high. Michael Branch, thanks for the kind words there, dude. Who we got in here? Some people have popped in and commented. So we got Lex, Sean, Ahmed, Yo-Yo, Eargun, Sean, Parsi, Faye, Grade A Music. That's a name I really recognize. Grade A Music. Legend. Moha, Moving Pangea, Jeff, Danny Boy, D Johnny, Brian Abraham, Buddy Langford. I know that name. Type Jack, thanks for the love, man. Love your stuff. Philip Harper. On the Cypher B, what does the gold dot represent? Oh, good question. Let's go back out. Let's zoom out. So a golden dot is apparently a golden buying opportunity. So look at this. All right, let's circle where that is on the chart. Golden buying opportunity, really? Not if there's a Celsius collapse. Or whatever that was. What was that draw? No, that was the FTX thing. Yeah. Yeah. The thing with technical indicators is they don't understand what's going on. They don't know what, you know, what a black swan is. They don't see what it can cause. So it's just reading off technical information. So if this was a technical move down, that would have been a golden buying zone or opportunity to catch the dip, right? Or a dip. But the sentiment drove it through the floor, and yeah. So I'll try and find a natural part of the chart that had no FUD or no black swan bullshit going on. Let me see. Like even this drop here, that was the, what's this? 30 down to 17. Yeah, that was the Celsius collapse. This was the lunar collapse. I mean, this is, I guess you could say, cherry picking, but here's one. I don't think anything was happening during this period. I think this was just the Ukraine-Russia crisis producing a lot of uncertainty and chop, but nonetheless, there was a few golden points on the chart. Like right here, there's one. Get that out of the way. Here was another. And you can see, yeah, they produce decent return. And you've also got like the dramatic sell signals as well. Like don't forget the big red stamps. So when you see them, when you see a series of red like dots up on the Cypher B, like you know that it's either extremely oversold and it's due to correct. You know, that's what happened there. Another red stamp here, which was roughly here. A couple of smaller red stamps just here in a row. But yeah, that's essentially what these dots do. And they're not perfect, as you know. Like you can see examples of where it didn't come through with a bullish move after it, like after a golden buy. But yeah, it can be part of painting a picture. Like if you've got confluence with price structure, other oscillators, you know, lines of support and resistance, then yeah, it can be a piece of the puzzle to help you make a decision, right? That was not bad. That green, so that golden buy opportunity there. But yeah, looking for gold signals on the higher, I think higher time frames tend to have better signaling. So we're out in the 4 hour now. Let's go to the daily. So the best signals you're going to see are the 4 hour and the daily for like oscillators. So out on the daily, I don't know if there was or has been any golden signals. No, there hasn't. There's just been really big fat green signals, which have resulted in, you know, decent moves up. So right there, that's a very bright, big green dot. And that appeared in this sort of zone here, right? And then look what happened after. We got the nice rally. Fat red dot right there, which happened here. You could argue that was a bit early because we still rallied up here a touch. It was a swing failure pattern, that move up there. So it was basically grabbing liquidity above the previous high before dumping. But yeah, this definitely nailed the highs, that red signal there. So yeah, the Cypher B, it gets better the higher time frame you go, basically. That's how it boils down. Oscillators work a lot better on, say, the monthly, weekly, daily. Monthly is going to be a bit tricky because there's not enough information to go off, and it's extremely slow and delayed. It's not going to give you, an entry down to the hour. It's just going to give you a ballpark that, oh yeah, the all-time high was hit and we've just been falling since then. But yeah, look at that. Like, we've got a momentum wave here that's starting to show signs of exhaustion, right? RSI's still got a ways to fall on the monthly. Like, it could come down lower, but if you think of Bitcoin's history, or let's just go to total crypto market cap, which is mostly Bitcoin anyway. Like, Bitcoin holds the dominance still. But if you go to the monthly, check it out. Like, we go logarithmic. The RSI is pretty good at showing that the top of the bull markets is extremely hot on the RSI, right? And then it comes down to these areas here. Wait, let me get the BLX chart because that's got way more history on it. There we go. That's better. So yeah, bull market. RSI runs hot. Bear markets. RSI tends to... So RSI has never been this low on the monthly in Bitcoin's history. See that? This is like an all-time low for RSI on the monthly chart for Bitcoin. Go out to the weekly, get a bit more resolution there. We're definitely on the low side of the market. There's no doubt about that as far as the RSI is concerned. So, it isn't the worst idea, or it's not the worst sort of suggestion that we may be nearing the bottom of this current cycle. At least looking at historic behavior of Bitcoin. What do we got here? I've got a whole bunch of notes written on the chart here. Mt. Gox was hacked. 850,000 Bitcoin was stolen. That caused that massive drop. The vertical green lines are Bitcoin halvings. You can see what happens after a halving and leading up to a halving as well, by the way. China ban. Mt. Gox halts withdrawals, suspends trading, that should say. And eventually goes bankrupt, much the same as what happened with FTX, right? They went bankrupt. And that was during this whole year, all of that negative FUD. 2014 was a terrible bear market, or a good bear market if you're a bear, right? 2015 was kind of like choppy and flat for like the first 6 months, and then we sort of started seeing signs of a recovery. And then, this beautiful bull run that came up after that, especially around that halving event again. But yeah, here we are today. What are we? 10 minutes past. 10 minutes past the daily candle close. And what is happening? We're still holding that retest. So we've come down and retested it again. So we've had the first test here. Second test here. It seems to be holding ground for now. It really has to decide where it's going now, huh? Social 0879, you're welcome. And you're welcome, Philip. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for tuning in. Rick, this was a helpful stream. If you're uploading it, I'll share it to my Facebook crypto group. Tell my people about TA streamers that aren't motivated by monetization, but rather mentorship. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. If you want to share it, go right ahead. That would definitely help the channel. And yeah, all of my streams for the past, I think, I don't know, 9-12 months are all on my channel. They all get uploaded. They all stay there. Dan Kush, how you going, man? How long has this one gone for, this stream? Hour and a half? Hour and 36 minutes? Got back up to 30 people. What's up? Sarah, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, 1 minute price structure. Good fun. I'm gonna get rid of these lines here, 1 second. Clean it up a bit. This head and shoulders definitely played out. It didn't hit the target yet from the top of the head to the neckline, like coming down to this ascending trend. It didn't go down that far, but nonetheless, it got the break. So, judging by that, if we go back out to 15 minutes, yeah, there's still potential for further decline here. There's a lot of room to fall still on RSI, and this momentum could come down like that. And then might be a nice buy opportunity if we come and retest, say, this. But yeah, remember, oscillators, much better on higher time frames. Way more indication of direction on the higher time frames. 4 hour, what is the 4 hour saying RSI wise? Saying we are smack bang neutral in the middle. There's no bias of up or down, it's just sideways. Which is reflected on the chart too in the price, right? It's just, we're getting squeezed hard. What happens after a squeeze? It's usually an explosive move once we figure out the direction. But yeah, there could be some good trades to come Monday. I think Monday's going to be pretty interesting, especially with that Genesis thing happening. Let me just go back here. I'm going to find an article about that, and then I'll show you guys. Go back to Bitcoin just so you can watch something while I'm looking for that. All right, Gemini Genesis. $1 billion. These are my keywords. All right. Well, that's a bright website. Let me turn that off. Let's turn dark read mode on. There we go. So this was published on the 17th of November, so 3 days ago for me. 2 days ago, maybe. I don't know. That's 17th of November UTC, so UK time. But Genesis sought $1 billion emergency loan but never got it. A confidential document uncovered by the WSJ depicts Genesis's request for $1 billion loan to recoup liquidity as a result of the FTX fallout. Crypto lender Genesis sought out an emergency loan of $1 billion in the wake of the collapse. Never got the funds. Wall Street Journal reports on November 17th. The loan request came before the company sent out a notification to clients earlier this week that it would be suspending redemptions. Citing a document it reviewed, the Wall Street Journal noted that Genesis sought the funds by November 14th because of a liquidity crunch due to certain illiquid assets on its balance sheet. So that was a few days ago now, 14th of November. A Genesis spokeswoman told the Journal that the confidential document was no longer current and noted that the company is having very positive conversations with potential investors to recoup liquidity. Well, that's good. Genesis announced November 16th that its crypto lending unit was halting all customer withdrawals, which we heard about. 3 Arrows Capital, this 3AC, due to the default of 3 Arrows Capital and Genesis's exposure, the firm faced hundreds of millions in losses of the over-leveraged hedge fund owned by a digital currency group, DCG. Genesis CEO Michael Moros issued a statement earlier this year in response to the fallout of Genesis's 3AC exposure. As we already stated on June 17, we mitigated our losses with a large counterparty who failed to meet a margin call to us. We sold collateral, hedged our downside, and moved on. Our business continues to operate normally, and we are meeting all of our clients' needs. So yeah, that's Genesis. I think there is another call. They're still looking for that. They're still seeking that 1 billion. Yeah, that's crazy. Genesis had lent $2.4 billion to 3 Arrows Capital, which has since elapsed. So they're not getting that back.
So as lawmakers investigate the collapse, every day investors are feeling the fallout. A new study.
All right, I have to allow ads. I don't want to play that video because probably get copyright struck. What's that off to? Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. I'd look into that, the Genesis situation. I think if I go back, there was a YouTube video explaining it. 8 hours ago, this was posted. I haven't watched this video, but the title is interesting. I'll link it in the chat. There you go. The video is this. This crypto company needs $1 billion or it implodes, and that's Genesis. So yeah, lots of flames, lots of red, lots of fear, lots of FUD in YouTube. It's what's getting the clicks right now. YouTube is monetizing on this, negativity. That's what I'm seeing anyway. There's a lot of pessimism out there, which is typical of a bear market. And it works. I guess people eat it up and they buy into it, don't they? And thus driving sentiment further down. It's like a self-fulfilling, like a self-fueling fire, and it's the same in a bull market. What pulls viewers in? Optimistic videos about going to the moon. Or you get all the moon boys, those videos coming out, and they rake in the views and the ad revenue, and yeah, it's just, and the cycle continues. See, at the very top of a bull market, especially in the recent one, we were like, a lot of people were saying, yeah, Bitcoin's going to go to 100K. That was the big number in the sky, and Doge was to $1. But we never quite got there, and everything just sort of dropped off and died out. And now, the average Joe isn't even looking at crypto, I would say. I don't think the bulk of the crowd is going to come back, like retail, until we get back up above, say, 30,000. So they're missing all of this opportunity, this really nice dip, because I bet you they're not buying it. I've been buying it. You know, it might be paying a bit of a premium. Like, I could be wrong that this area is the bottom. But, you know, if we dip down to a new low, like a 14,000 or 10,000, I'll just buy more of it. Like, it doesn't bother me. A few people have been critical on that. But, yeah, I understand. I understand, like, why they would be critical of that approach. But you got to start somewhere, hey? Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there, and I'll try to get back on a stream a lot sooner, and not leave like a 20-day gap between streams like I just did. So I apologize for that, but yeah, I will be back. I'll stream again within the coming days, especially if we get some action out of you know, the new week ahead. One thing I didn't do was look at the legacy market, so the S&P 500. But yeah, I'll get around to doing that. Maybe in the next stream we'll sort of analyze that. But the S&P 500 reacted strong off the inflation rate coming down. So that was a positive thing. That at least held the markets up somewhat. So we'll see if the next CPI data comes out positively, and we'll see if we can continue that reduction in inflation. But yeah, until the next stream, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you then. Take care, and all the best with your trading. See ya.